Do you ever feel compelled to say yes to something at work, even when you don't want to? Or going one step further, saying yes when you know you don't have the capacity to do the thing you're being asked? I'm willing to bet that you've answered yes to both of these at least once in your career. We believe that success is built on the reflexive response of saying yes to opportunities which are presented to us. But this is nonsense. You need to say no much more. By saying no, you will actually fast track your career and lead to more success. But before we get into that, if you're new here, welcome. My name is Brendan. I'm a recovering accountant based here in London, and I help millennials navigate busy lives and make sure that work doesn't suck. So going back to saying no, question for you. When was the last time you said no? Was it this morning? Yesterday? Last week? We find it difficult to say no, thinking this little two-letter word will limit possibilities and opportunities, compared to the opposite, believing yes will ensure that we look interested and stay in the mix for future opportunities. You see, saying yes can be a lightning bolt to your career, or at least that's how it's perceived, because by saying yes, it opens you up to new challenges, opportunities, and experiences. It invites collaboration, empowers others, and creates environments that people feel comfortable in. This is ultimately where we learn trial and error, fail and learn, iterate and innovate. The problem is that by saying yes, we are screwing ourselves over. This affirmative word eradicates our time, increases our stress levels, and depletes our energy reserves. That's why the most successful people say no more than they say yes. Darren Hardy, James Clear, Brendan Burchard are all examples of thought leaders who advocate saying no more than they say yes. This isn't about holding yourself back though, because it's actually quite the opposite. It's about giving yourself the best possible chance to succeed. The problem is the more we succeed, the harder, or probably more accurately, the greater the challenge is to prioritize the increased number of opportunities that come our way. It's fair to say that we often try to say no without actually saying no. This is because we don't want to limit our options, close the doors, if you will. Inevitably though, this results in a lack of clarity and usually overcommitment. We create a rod for our own back. We end up stressed, exhausted, and most likely failing. The best way to prevent this is to actually say no. By doing so in the right manner is critical to success, because by saying no gracefully but firmly, it means relationships are preserved, feelings are not hurt, and clarity is given. It makes it clear that whilst we are respectful for this opportunity, is not one we are choosing to pursue at the moment. It doesn't move us towards our end goal. I think a story about Cleese explains it best. Now, I am a huge Monty Python fan. In fact, Monty Python's Holy Grail movie is one of my favourites of all time. Just ask me about the terminal velocity of an unladen swallow. If you know, you know. But if you don't, please go and watch it. Just at the end of this video, obviously not right now. So Cleese is one of the driving forces behind Monty Python's Flying Circus and was catapulted into the public eye as a result of the group's fame. Within weeks of exploding onto the comedy scene, Cleese and the other Python members were in high demand. Cleese, by his own admission, says that he was overwhelmed with all this fame, adoration, and attention. Not wishing to let anyone down, he said yes to all the requests that he received. Yes to being on Parkinson. Yes to live at the Hollywood Bowl. Yes to a movie of A Fish Called Wanda. It wasn't long before he was in danger of burning out. The constant demands on his time and attention meant that he was always being pulled from pillar to post. Saying yes was creating opportunities, but meaning he couldn't focus on the goal of making Monty Python a global success. Then one evening, a friend close to him sat down and said, "John, you need to learn to say no." The connotation being that if you don't, you will not survive. Now, in the days before mental health and its huge importance on life, this was somewhat of a premonition. The friend explained it this way, paraphrased obviously as I wasn't there, but he said, "You need to learn to say no, John. Doing so in the right way is important though. By saying no and explaining why, people might not like it, but they will understand. Articulating that you can't do this thing, and it's not because you don't want to, but because you can't give your best or 100%. This means you don't want to give less than an optimal performance output or whatever it was. This is about respecting your audience. If you don't say no, the pressures will pile up and there's a danger you won't make it through the other side. John Cleese said that this advice was absolutely invaluable in helping him maintain some balance in his career. There is always the perceived danger that by saying no, all opportunities will dry up, leaving you with a legacy of regret. Now, I don't believe this is the case. In my own words, I would rather tell you that by saying yes, you are opening yourself up to the challenge of multitasking, i.e. the act of doing many things badly versus doing one thing well. And this is what John Cleese's friend was implying. Why not do one thing really, really, really well than overcommitting and doing lots of things badly? I think the genius that was Steve Jobs said it best when he said, "People think focus means saying yes to the thing you've got to focus on. But that's not what it means at all. It means saying no to the 100 other good ideas that are there. You have to pick carefully." Now, sadly, there is no magic formula for saying no more effectively, but through painful experience, I've identified 7 steps to help you to say no more effectively. Number 1, slow down. It would only be natural to have anxious feelings when there is a need to say no. It can often go further, escalating into a complete meltdown of our emotional state, which leaves us in this diminished capacity to process information and consider options. The best way to tackle this is just slow down. In the words of the boss of Will Smith in Bad Boys, get your woosah moment out. Slow down the decision-making process. This will allow us to catch up with our thoughts and give us the chance to make the choice that is right for us. It is not about selecting the option that removes our anxiety from the situation, rather the one that is right for us. Number 2 is all around recognizing our emotional cues. There is a phrase in nutritional coaching called notice and naming, and this is the process by which we experience our emotions before recognizing them. That's why it is important to be aware of an emotion when it arises. We can then take action to influence how we respond. What do we feel physically when we consider saying no? Number 3 is all around practice, practice, practice. Saying no is like any other interpersonal skill. It sounds silly, but we need to work on it. Yes, it will feel awkward and difficult and probably clumsy at first, but the more you practice, the better you get. And with practice comes perfection. Well, that's a little grand, but you'll definitely be better than where you are now. Number 4 is around importance. It is easy to get caught up in the quagmire of attention demands, the pressure to always be on the go, the distractions to our focus. That's why successful people say no to almost everything. Well, anything that doesn't fall within the important and urgent box on the Eisenhower matrix. And we should do the same. Be brutal with what you spend your time on. Number 5 is called help or hinder. For the situation ahead of you, will saying yes help you move towards your goal or hinder you by diluting the time, resource, and focuses available? Yes may facilitate collaboration and adaptability, but what if it does so to the detriment of your ultimate goal? Become more discerning with your time by asking yourself that question. If the question doesn't excite you, speak to what you hold dear, or move you closer to your mission in life, it's simple. You say no. Number 6, time is precious. In fact, it's the world's most precious commodity. So precious, in fact, that once you've spent it, it cannot be reclaimed. Unlike purchases, there is no money-back guarantee, no 28-day return window, no way of reversing the decision. That's why being productive and focusing your attention on what is important to us is critical to success. There are periods in the year where the pressure to say yes grows and grows and grows, but we need to stay strong. You can't accomplish your goals if you are overwhelmed, overworked, and overstressed. We need to remember that successful people recognize that if they can't take care of themselves, everything else suffers. And this starts with managing their time. That's why I talk about investing in yourself is not selfish, but actually selfless. The more you invest in yourself, the more you can give to others. I'm going to leave the last word to the Sage of Omaha, Warren Buffett himself, as he knows a thing or two about success and ultimately saying no. He says, you've got to keep control of your time, and you can't unless you say no. You can't let people set your agenda in life. And that's it. By saying no to the things and people that no longer serve you or serve your purpose, you can say yes more to those that do. Because if you like this video, please do check out this one here where I talk about the 8 secrets to great leadership. But with that, have a great day, and I'll see you all in the next video. Cheers.